Hi Dave, welcome back. And good evening.
Thank you. Good evening to you.
Nice to have you again. Last week, you remember we were talking about general things about marketing and the influence of technology on the marketing field. Now, I would like to ask you what your company does on marketing specifically.
Well, to really understand what our company does from a marketing standpoint, you have to understand the things that we do as a company. So, and we're specifically speaking about Grasp Technologies, which is our international software company that we have. So we provide software solutions to different businesses all over the world, as well as custom solutions. We create stuff where it never existed before. And we primarily have a focus with travel data and like expense data and that sort of thing, helping corporations get that control over it because it's typically for most companies, it's the second largest, most controllable expense. And because of that, we work a lot with travel agencies because travel agencies have a lot of that data and are providing a lot of the solutions using our software back to their clients, the corporations. So
CRM programs?
Somewhat more on the agency side to help agencies manage their business, but really business intelligence and analytics. So a whole platform, our flagship product is Grasp Data, which is a whole platform that provides data analytics on
databases and things like that.
Right, and we actually have this very unique technology that's called Secure Connection Technology that allows us to attach into any data source in any format and be able to push and pull data and consolidate it together. So because of that, over the last 5 years, we've really become this leader in these major global data consolidations because data is fragmented everywhere, right? And to try to pull it all together manually, you think about a company, a large Fortune 500 that does business internationally, they don't just have one travel agency, they may have 15. And all of them are on different platforms, different programs, and so when the corporation says, okay, we want to see an executive summary report of what's going on across our business, they get 15 different reports, and they try to put it all together. So we specialize in consolidating all that, so they log into our software, and they hit a button, and they get one report. Or they say, I want to see this area of the world, or this specific partner agency of ours, that sort of thing. So we do a lot in that space as well.
And when you talk about that, what do you mean by business intelligence? Because that's a term that is used in marketing when you refer to data mining and things like that. What's business intelligence?
Well, business intelligence is a term that can be overused,
right?
Of
course, so, that's why I asked.
So what really matters, and I think we alluded to this in our last segment that we did together, the ability to get the information you need that's actionable, that you can make a decision based off of it and, make the change or do what you need to do and do it very efficiently and get it right now, right? We talked about the instant society and that sort of thing in our last segment. So we provide a solution that allows that to happen. So it's not just getting the data, because we've solved that problem with our Secure Connection Technology, which is, really we haven't seen anything else like it in the world that has this ability to bring the data together. But realistically, it's not so much, getting the data is one piece of it, but then what do you do with it? And so our software, we've built a lot of unique things into it that allow us, based on literally almost every single client, and keep in mind that a lot of times we're working with a travel agency that has hundreds of clients.
So what's the difference between data mining and business intelligence?
Well, data mining is just getting data, right? It's just mining for data, right? Business intelligence is actually making that data actionable so that the end user can say, okay.
But then you need one for the other. You need data mining for business intelligence.
Right, or a way to get the data, which is the problem that we wanted to solve, because almost everything in at least in the travel industry for the most part, in these software programs that exist, it's a very manual process. And so
how do you get it?
With our Secure Connection Technology.
Yeah, but did you get the information you need by asking questions?
The data itself resides in different areas. So, for example, if you are working with a travel agency as a corporation, they've got a database. They've got an accounting system where all this data ends up from all the travels that your employees and everything are doing. But a corporation may also have a expense system, because there are some people that don't use the travel agency, right? They use the company credit card maybe, or they use they use their own credit card and put it through the expense system. So you've got data in all these different buckets, and so you have to go and get the data out of the buckets, right? Bring it together so you have it all in one spot. Then from there is when the business intelligence piece comes in. So you could consider that the data mining, getting the data, and now you got to take that data and say, okay, what can we tell the client that they can do to affect their business in a better way? or manage their program in a better way. And our system has all that stuff already built in. Once we bring that data together, we can say, hey, check this, dashboard out. This is going to show you X. Or, check out this report. It's going to show you where you can make the biggest change for savings. Like, great example. Corporations have an issue with what's called exchange tickets, right? I'm a traveler and something happens and I need to exchange my ticket and change my flight, right? There's a $100 fee for that, right? I get charged, right?
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, right? Or more, right?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of businesses don't have a way to actually track and see what that cost back to their bottom, back to their business is. And we do. So we can show a business, hey, here was your actual exchange counts. Here's how much extra money you spent because your employees made decisions that cost you money. And we can show them, basically who the repeat offenders are, things like that, so they can better manage it to bring that number down. And in some cases, just doing that in a program. Because back to keeping things simple, as we started to talk about in our last, time together. Just doing that can save thousands of dollars to a company over the course of a year.
Dave, we're going to go to another commercial break and we'll be right back. Okay? Vamos a ir a una tanda de comerciales y ya estamos de nuevo con ustedes. Ya volvemos. Dave, did you read about the case, Target case, by which Target sent a lady a congratulations card because the lady was pregnant. But the thing is that Target knew that she was pregnant or suspected that she was pregnant because of a change in her buying behavior. And the doctor at that time, had no confirmed the lady that she was pregnant.
So Target told her that she was pregnant?
Yeah, Target suspected that or knew that she was pregnant before she was sure that she was pregnant. Then she went to the doctor, and she confirmed that what Target said.
Well, that's an example of what we just discussed, right? So they're data mining, so they're obviously watching her behavior, right? Purchasing behavior and that sort of thing. And then they're taking that data and the business intelligence piece comes in, which is where you look at that data and say, okay, what do we do with it? Now that's a little scary that they that they understand it to that level and go out and do that. But that's kind of bringing the two pieces together, which is what we do and help our clients be able to do with their clients on a daily basis.
In order for you to get all the information for the travel agency or for whichever, which would you say is the most important device now? Cell phone, mobile phone, iPad, email. What's the better device to use in order for you to get all the information that you need for the database?
Well, and that's the funny thing. It goes back to what we talked about in our last segment together, that we can get, these things can bombard us and get too big, right? Believe it or not, the best place for the data, for the most complete data set, is in the accounting system at the travel agency or the expense system, the accounting system. Because the way, it's interesting, travel is built on systems really from the 1940s and 50s that have had some changes, but they're still the same systems.
I like that.
So these databases are configured to, it's very specific to the industry. And so, yeah, I mean, think about it. The agency does a booking, right? And they do it through what's called the GDS system, right? And those are these global systems that, all the different, flights and all the different stuff is in there. And each agency is going to have a GDS or maybe multiple GDSs that they use, depending on what area of their business. And then that all flows through, okay, it ends up in the accounting system. And so to be able to report on what's really happening in the travel, really the data set is in that accounting system in the end, because the agency will come in, they'll add things to it. They have what's called user-defined fields where the agency will put in notes and remarks and things like that. And so that's where we get a majority of the data from. Now we do get data from working with these other systems and stuff, some of that I mentioned too, to augment that. But the most complete data set typically is in that back office accounting system.
You were saying something about the booking system before, to help database.
Right, correct. There's booking tools, and a lot of the GDSs have their own booking tools and stuff that the agencies use. But you asked about mobile and these applications and things like that. A lot of the agencies that work with corporations that they're fulfilling that, or corporations directly, have these booking tools, kind of like what you go to online, Priceline and that sort of thing. Only it's specific, to them, and they've got the mobile applications and all that, and the traveler can book their own flights, and it all flows through to that accounting system in the end. where like the price lines and those things don't. Those go to the price line accounting system. So a lot of corporations will choose their own vendors, you know, not just travel agencies, but also their own booking tools, or work with the travel agency to use the travel agency's booking tool, which can then be, you know, online for them or mobile for them or on their tablet and all that stuff. So those things do come into play, but the data all ends up residing in those accounting systems and everything at the end of the day too.
I guess you're not using chips yet, because I read, it was sad, you know, some weeks ago with what happened in the Boston Marathon, but I read that so many people said, hey, how come they know they can track every runner in the Boston Marathon? I read that every runner, every participant in the marathon had a chip by which the organizers knew where each one was at exactly the same moment they were. So that's how they knew that there was no runner involved in the tragedy. But the question is, in this type of technology used for marketing, do you think that chips will be a really good help?
Well, then you get into privacy stuff and things, right? It's one thing to have a running vest on that you know it's there, but you know this was you know, it's still I think it's still the rage, but it was talked about a few years ago. RFID tags, right? They can
Yeah, but they're doing that
RFID.
when you rent a car. You get a chip, and they know exactly where you are,
and that sort of thing.
So companies are following you, and like we are saying last week, there's no privacy anymore.
Exactly, and so that's where you get into that gray area, right? That you know, they have this for your pet now, right? You can put a chip in your pet, and you know where your pet's at and all that stuff. You never lose your pet again, right?
Right.
So it's you know, it gets into that gray area of privacy and everything else. Who's looking at that? Who knows about it? If you're renting a car from a car rental place, well, you know, you are signing an agreement allowing them to track you and that sort of thing. But when it's you know, being done without you knowing it, you talked about Target. How do they know the buying patterns and things like that? Well, they're scanning that stuff and everything else of what this person's buying, and it's, you know, so that's where you get into that gray area and things. And so obviously Target knows what they're doing, so they're not in a breach of anything, I'd imagine. But you know, it's going to get blurred and blurred and blurred more. And you know, we don't have a use for chips in our business stuff. We sell software that, you know, programs that are used. They're SaaS systems, software as a service, internet-based programs that you can access anywhere with an internet connection from your different devices around the world. So, you know, we don't have a need to do that. But we also, through working with our partners and the type of reporting we need, though, because these distribution systems, you know, these global systems like the GDSs, have all that real-time, almost flight data and all that stuff, we do have to provide some reporting back in cases of where your travelers are. An emergency happens, ash cloud, you know, earthquake, you know, that sort of thing. People have to be able to log into our software and say, where are my people right now? And we, you know, we provide that level of data, you know, but you have to be careful not to take it too far.
How many pieces of information per customer do you manage? I mean, let's say address, telephone number, mobile number, name, age. You know, how many pieces of information per customer do you manage?
That's really going to depend, because it's kind of up to the client, right? Because we can suppress things, we can only get certain pieces of data if that's all they want, you know, that sort of thing. So it just depends on what the client needs to be able to use our software for, whether it's an agency or a corporation, you know, or what the corporate client of the agency wants. So, you know, there's a massive data set, but sometimes we only use pieces of it, sometimes we use a complete data set. It just really depends on the customer, and that's kind of the nice thing, and that's the interesting thing about this world, right? Because my role is, you know, the sales, the marketing side, where, you know, all, internationally, where are we going and all that stuff. And so, you know, we have to be able to adapt to every single client and their needs.
The thing is that it used to be demographics more than anything else. Now it is more behavioral. Right?
Right.
How did you get into those consumer insights? Because that's difficult. I mean, I can change from one day to another. So how can you handle that?
Well, in our industry, obviously, there's travel patterns, right, of people that you look for. So there are consistent behaviors. You have people that are going to travel first class more primarily. You have people that are going to, you know, depending on what the company's policy is, do certain things. So, you know, there is, you know, some consistency to behavior, and that also is a benefit, because we can see, for example, another thing that corporations can track and really look at to help save them costs: advanced purchase, right? So if you purchase a ticket within 14 days of your flight, expenses are enormous. If you're outside 14 days, though, you save a lot of money. And a lot of times, your traveler could be purchasing inside that 14-day time frame when they don't have to. So being able to just see that behavior and then see, hey, who are my biggest offenders that are purchasing within that 14-day time frame, 3 days out, 7 days out, and being able to show that, consistently over time will tell you, A, is this person really having to do this, right? So you can go back and look at their travel. Could they have booked it 14 days in advance and that sort of thing? So can we make some, behavior modifications now that we're tracking it, so that these people know they need to be booking outside 14 days to save the company money? Or is it a situation where this person, the way their area of the business is, they have to do that all the time, and how can we manage that better for them or make that easier for them? Because if you're having to book your flights every 2 days out, 3 days out all the time, it's a very hectic schedule and stuff. So is there a better way that we can manage this employee from a duty of care standpoint to make sure that they have a better quality of life too? So the behavior kind of works both ways, and so just buying patterns can show you that.
Okay, Dave, we're going to go to another commercial break and we'll be right back, okay? Vamos a ir entonces a otra serie de comerciales y ya estamos de nuevo con ustedes para la parte final con Dave Lucas. Ya volvemos. Okay, Dave. Now, you know that marketing and sales have been together, I would say, all the time, or fighting with each other all the time. Peter Drucker used to say that they are antagonists, marketing and sales. Your experience in marketing and sales, what would you have to say?
Well, I've worked in situations where you have both. I've seen the antagonist.
Yeah,
but
you were.
I've also seen, it was, I'm joking, because I've also seen when they're well aligned
That's true.
together.
I mean, you're joking, but that's true.
But when they're well aligned together, I'll tell you what, it's so
beautiful.
amazing. It really is beautiful because marketing, it helps with the messaging that sales is giving out there, and it's also helping to develop that awareness and everything of brand too. So it's a lot easier for a salesperson to sell when there's brand awareness when there's not.
Yeah, when marketing is well done and well performed,
right.
Sales is easy.
Right, so it's a lot easier for a salesperson that walks in and they, we know all about you, great to have you in, versus I've never heard of you before, who are you?
Yeah.
And it's funny, in Grasp, when we first got started, we were working with a lot of big clients all over the world, but, we have no debt. We bootstrapped from the beginning, basically as entrepreneurs. We built it from the ground up. And so we weren't out there marketing. It was all word of mouth and our own efforts and stuff, and so we get into people that we'd never heard of you before. We've been in business, 10 years. You never heard of us, And so, at that point we started to do more marketing and stuff like that. So, nowadays we have a lot more brand awareness. But as we get into new markets and things like that, we do business internationally, we still face that challenge, and how do we market, And so usually, from a sales aspect, one of the things that we want to do and we want to do well is get some early adopters in a market. So like Australia is really hot for us right now. We're doing a lot in Australia. There's some systems that are specific to Australia that we actually have spent a lot of time developing our software to work with very seamlessly, and there really isn't anybody else doing that. So word of mouth is really spread. We seem to get a new client in Australia every couple of weeks, which is great. But now that we're doing that, we're looking at doing some press releases and some marketing in that market and stuff like that. So you have to kind of build it over time, and then when the time is right, do that. And that's one of the things I think we've done well, and we've kept it simple. And it's just amazing how small the world's gotten nowadays. It really is. It's every day it seems like I'm on a go-to-meeting, and that's another thing, right? You don't have to go and meet with everybody face-to-face anymore.
Absolutely.
I'm on a go-to-meeting looking at somebody in Hong Kong or Australia or South America or Europe, and it's just amazing how easily connected the world can be nowadays and be able to do business.
Dave, what's easier, marketing or sales? That's a good question.
It's a tough question. It's too tough of a question really to answer. So if I say one thing, I'm going to alienate salespeople. I say another one, I'm going to alienate marketing people. It really depends on your focus, right? So whatever your role is.
But you know what? Peter Drucker used to say that if marketing is well done, then you're gonna need no salesman or no salesperson. Is that right?
In today's age, I'd probably disagree with that. I think that I think that you can jump online, you can find out a lot about a company that you maybe want to do business with or a product or anything, but that doesn't always compel you to buy. A great salesperson that understands you and can show you, because and I write about this. I actually write about this in my book in the chapter on sales. I talk about how, in some ways, the outside salesperson is dead, right? What can an outside salesperson give me that I can't get online, right? But I'm a sales guy too, and I've got outside salespeople. So
I agree with you. If we were talking about 1955 or 1960, that would be true. Today, Oh no, that's impossible because of the amount of competition that there are on the market field. So you really need, no matter what, salespersons.
And here's the important thing I write right after I make that statement in my book. It's, yeah, if you just have somebody that's regurgitating what's on your website from a sales perspective, you're probably going to have trouble with sales. A great salesperson really understands that the marketplace is different, and the buyer or person you're meeting with, you have to understand a little about a lot to be able to work with them. For example, this buyer may leave, go on their lunch break, check their eBay account, check their Facebook page, look at one of their for-profit websites, go on to LinkedIn with somebody, and do all this on their lunch break, right? So you have to understand this interconnected world and be able to bring to the prospect something they're not getting from your website. You have to bring them, like I deal in one of our other business from our investing side is in the real estate arena. We buy and we hold investment real estate. And yeah, I can go online, I can research mortgage rates and do all that stuff myself, but I'm more apt to work with a mortgage broker that understands that, but comes in and shows me a better way to do an investment deal that's going to save me more money, that's going to give me a better position for if I want to exit the piece of real estate at some point, and show me how that works. I'm more apt to listen to them than somebody saying, I'm going to give you a better rate. You know what I mean? So you have to. A great salesperson really has to understand that their prospect can be working in so many ways, and they have to adapt to that. So it's very important.
Dave, do you agree with whoever says that marketers have become like journalists and salespersons have become more public relation people?
Well, the famous answer to that in marketing, right, is it depends, right? As we've
answer
talked
we
about,
have.
right? It depends on the role of the person, everything. It's very much with the blogosphere and Twitter and stuff like that as part of marketing. I could see how that could get said, but you have truly great marketing firms, and what they do and everything else, it takes a lot of work and a lot of smarts to be able to do that right?
To
Build a
create
message.
experiences,
Right, and create that.
you have to write.
So I wouldn't say that they're just, I would have to disagree. And then the salesperson, it's going to also depend on the industry that they're in. And in our world and what we're doing, we deal with some very technical stuff. My salespeople have to understand inside and out how these systems all come together and how we can bring data together and make it happen. Because like I said, every single client is different, and we have to adapt to that. And by default, every single client that they have is different, and we have to adapt to. So my people, I typically hire people that are very much experienced in the industry and really understand it. I can't hire somebody off the street that's never been a part of that front line before, So I would say that it just depends, in what business you're in. So.
Then you better write an article for our magazine. Okay. All right, Dave, thank you very much because you have been really helpful to everybody and every one of us. So I hope you'll write the article for our magazine, and
Absolutely.
I hope to have you in Colombia pretty soon.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be with you all too.
Para ustedes, muchísimas gracias por haber estado con nosotros y los invitamos a que sigan pendientes de nuestra serie internacional 2013. Muchas gracias y una feliz noche. Hi, Dave. Welcome back. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening to you.
Nice to have you again. Last week, do you remember programs?
Somewhat more on the agency side to help agencies manage their business, but really business intelligence and analytics. So a whole platform, I guess our flagship product is Grasp Data, which is a whole platform that provides data analytics on
databases and things like that.
Right, and we actually have this very unique technology that's called secure connection technology that allows us to attach into any data source in any format and be able to push and pull data and consolidate it together. So because of that, over the last 5 years, we've really become this leader in these major global data consolidations because data is fragmented everywhere, right? And to try to pull it all together manually, you think about a company, a large Fortune 500 that does business internationally, they don't just have one travel agency, they may have 15. and all of them are on different platforms, different programs, and so when the corporation says, okay, we want to see an executive summary report of what's going on.
We were talking about general things about marketing and the influence of technology on the marketing field. Now, I would like to ask you what your company does on marketing specifically.
Well, to really understand what our company does from a marketing standpoint, you have to understand, the things that we do as a company. So, and we're specifically speaking about Grasp Technologies, which is our international software company that we have. So we provide software solutions to different businesses all over the world, as well as custom solutions. We create stuff where it never existed before. And we primarily have a focus with travel data and like expense data and that sort of thing, helping corporations get that control over it, because it's typically for most companies, it's the second largest, most controllable expense. And because of that, we work a lot with travel agencies, because travel agencies have a lot of that data and are providing a lot of the solutions using our software back to their clients, the corporations. So
CRM,